people will say, look at the airplane's made out of millions of parts. And if just one of those parts fails, I'm doomed. Or they say, I think Jane and I talked about this. You do all this stuff to try to protect yourself from the virus. And no matter what you do, there's just going to be one little molecule that gets through and gets you. So that all or nothing thinking, if you can't be absolutely safe, you're not safe. So that black and white thinking is one of the things we try to attack in the course. But the other thing is that when you do think about the awful thing that could happen if that one screw comes loose on the plane or that one molecule comes and attacks you, that then it causes stress hormones to be released. Ordinarily, the difference between imagination and reality. But when you get enough stress hormones, you slide into believing your imagination is reality. And so now you go from thinking that there's just a possibility that something could go wrong to being sure that something's going to go wrong. So I think you've got your calming system working better for you so that you're not going into that, what they call psychic equivalence, where what's in your mind is automatically something you're sure is happening.
Yeah, my calming system, for whatever reason, seems to be really, really working well for me. It's surprising to me because I've never had a calming system. I never even knew what it felt like. 67 years, 66 years. So it's got me completely surprised that, in fact, this is interesting. A young friend of mine who has a lot of obsessions, we've set up this little weekly chat where, we talk about it. And like today, she was all panicked that she was out, and her ritual was to hang up her clothes when she got home outside, but it had to be in the sun, and she was panicking because it was a little cloudy today. And I found myself like talking her down. You can carry it too far. Like if you just take your clothes off maybe and put them in a laundry bin and wash them, or don't wear them for a few days, it's going to be fine. You don't necessarily have to hang them in the sun for X number of hours. So this is just based on my trying to stay abreast of the information, right? The facts, sources that I trust, right? But when you're in a panic mode, Tom, like if you're in a state of panic, you can't even hear what the experts are saying. You are so revved up. You're what is it called when you're in a state of panic?
That's psychic equivalence. Whatever's in your psyche is the equivalent to reality.
It's like you can't even pay attention to the facts and the sources because you're so revved up. But if you can have your calming system let you calm down, then you can listen to the facts and the sources, and you can kind of like make sense of it all, right? But when you're revved up, you can't. That's like for me when I was on a plane, when I was revved up, there was no way that I could understand the facts of what was really happening, like with the turbulence. I had to.
Well,
I had to use Tom's methods of calming down to be able to get to that place.
When you talk to her, Jane, does she, just hearing your voice, making that contact with you, can you tell that just that is doing anything?
I think it is. And the fact that I checked in on her and I said, every week, I'm going to call you. We're going to talk for 15 minutes and you're going to let me know what you did this week, a little different, like hanging your clothes up but not worrying about the sun. And we'll talk about that in a week. And so I think maybe I was that calming person for her, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what was happening.
Yeah. And see, the thing is that what you say, talking about executive function, is good. But just the fact that you're talking with her and she can picture your face and hear your voice, even if you don't say anything meaningful, that can also be something that will trigger the
I really do believe you're right about that. It was just the act of talking with her and being empathetic, and also letting her know too that she doesn't have to work miracles if she takes just one little baby step. She was like so relieved, but So it was like the support and the talking to her and giving her, you know, some hope and yeah, that I think that's exactly what it is. I don't necessarily think it's what I said. It's the fact that I was there for her, you know.
When you're cool, calm, and collected, your high level thinking is working. And part of your high level thinking, called executive function, is what we call reflective function. Reflective function is where you look inward at the same time you're looking outward. You're also sensing inward. What kind of mental processing am I doing? So, or am I doing remembering right now? Am I doing imagination right now? Or am I just perceiving right now? You see, it's not like you really put a lot of attention on it, but you just know what you're doing. But what happens is when you get stressed, you stop doing reflective function. It slides away. And when your reflective function slides away, let's say you're doing imagination, which your imagination is the plane's going to crash.
Yeah.
But when you imagine the plane's going to crash and it produces stress hormones, your imagination becomes your reality. That's psychic equivalence.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
now
go
we
ahead.
can, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've been listening silently. I'm just wondering, so you're saying that your stress hormones, if you're really stressed, then your imagination starts becoming your reality.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And what did you call it?
Psychic
what?
equivalence. It comes from a guy who's a real well-known theorist, Peter Fonagy. He's over in London. Psyche means the mind, and you know what equivalent means. He says for the first 3 years of life, children are in this state of psychic equivalence. They believe that everything in their mind is real, and they also believe that everything that's real is in their mind. They think they know everything. Now, at around age 3, the kid makes this amazing discovery. Oh my God, something could be in my mind and it's not out there, or something out there could actually be there and I don't know about it. Wow. And so the child says, oh, this gives me this great freedom. I can pretend. I don't have to believe everything in my mind. I can put something there just for fun. So here's an example. Let's say that you take a kid who's 4 years old and they've got good ability to differentiate imagination from reality, and they're playing with a 2-year-old kid who's got no ability to tell the difference. And the 4-year-old kid says, let's pretend we're in the jungle and there's lions and tigers and they're going to try to chase us and eat us. Oh, one's after you. Run, he's going to get you. Well, the 4-year-old kid's going to have fun with that because he knows that it's not real. But the 2-year-old kid is going to believe that the tiger's really going to bite him and eat him. So he goes running to find mom.
What would be the first step to try to get out of that? Because I think I'm experiencing that extreme.
Even if you are getting stress hormones, if your calming system will kick in, you can have the stress hormones and still not go into psychic equivalence.
How do you get your calming to kick in?
Okay, yeah, the calming system is activated. And if go right back to, you know, a newborn child. How is a newborn child calm? It's by the mom's face, the mom's voice quality. Mom talks to the baby, doesn't understand the words, you know. And the touch, face, voice quality, and touch. Those are the 3 things that activate the calming system. If the child is consistently calmed for the first year and a half, at about that point, the child, when they start to get upset, they imagine mom is going to be here any moment and present her face, voice, and touch and calm me. But the child then can imagine, oh, she's going to be here in a minute. I'm going to see her face. I'm going to hear her voice. I'm going to feel her touch. And the imagination of mom showing up will calm the child. So now the child has built in a program so that every time he gets upset, thinks about mom, gets calm. And about 60% of us get that program and about 40% of us don't, probably something like that. I've got a couple of books out that talk about how you can control your psychic equivalence. If it's about airplanes, if it's really just about airplanes, you could get the book called SOAR, so the Breakthrough Treatment for Fear of Flying. But if it's about panic and bridges and tunnels and elevators and MRIs, things like that.
Yeah.
Get a copy of Panic Free. About 4 weeks ago, Jane was saying that the stuff that she picked up here has gotten her through the pandemic pretty well. She came up with the idea of doing an ebook with exercises to deal with the pandemic, and so I got that published last Wednesday, thanks to Jane's idea. And so that one's called the Panic Free Pandemic Workbook.